So I've done a video on this before, but I just feel like I have more clarity in my wordings and the way that I can present the information now. So we're always in a constant state of growth and flux. So here's the kind of same video again. So the topic is it's all basically around the kind of false twin flames. I've got multiple connections, XYZ. So the reason that it's such a controversial topic is because every journey is unique. So some people will have the same person all the way along and it'll work out and it'll get into a union, and some people will have two and some people will have multiple, and then you've got all these things going on where someone's like, well, no, because you've changed, like you're not even on the twin flame journey, or because yours is like different because you've had more than one, and then because you've only had one you just don't know because you haven't let go of them yet, and there's so many different judgments. So really it's just about allowing everyone to have their own journey. The only thing I will say is that until we have union, like full physical union, it is very, very difficult to be sure of who your twin flame is. So try to keep some kind of openness like around the form, because the twin flame begins as a kind of energy. So this is how I've had it kind of channeled to me, how I see it, and how it and anyway, how I can explain it. So there's like an activation point, and it might be triggered by a person. It will most likely be triggered by a person. And it will be like a time of activation when you start on your twin flame journey, or you start on your homecoming, you start on your journey back to yourself. And that activation will be the instigation of the core wound. So we all have a core wound. Everyone's core wound is like really unique to them, but there might be similarities, and this will be why you'll have people that you get on with and have similarities to their journey, because you'll have a similar core wound in effect. And you will share the exact core wound with your twin flame, but you will have very, very close patterning with people. Very often, like with your close monad, very often one of your parents will even be in that as well. So it doesn't have to only be romantic partners, but there'll be a very, very, very close link to your core wounding so that they can trigger you. So we get activated at a certain point, generally by a certain connection. And this is where a lot of confusion comes in, because that activation point might be your twin flame and you do all your healing and you come together with them, or it might be an activational person. I mean, this journey is so multidimensional as well. There's also other timelines, things that we're collapsing, but in 0 point I fully believe there is one union with one person in that timeline, in that point of space. But your activation point it's like you're ready to have your core wound triggered, because if you had it activated too early, you would literally probably die, because it's challenging enough when we do get it activated. So it's like there comes a point when we're strong enough to have our core wound activated, and that's when that kind of pull happens, and you literally feel like your soul's been put out of your chest. You grieve like you've never grieved before, you want to die, XYZ, and that's because you've come to your full awareness of where you're disconnected from yourself. And it's like a sudden awakening, often with the Kundalini awakening, and you are now looking to get your core wound placated. Because you've had it kind of activated and opened, it's really, really flaring, so it really needs to be placated. So you're going and trying to get it placated from these people who simply can't, because they have the same thing but mirrored. So you're meeting yourself or very similar people, but with a polarized. So you've got very similar core wound issues, but you're polarizing them. You're basically, it's so complicated to explain, but you're basically seeing your duality playing out in the people you're connecting to. So your own core wound gets activated, and everything that comes into your life is actually your own duality that you're playing out. And you've always been living like that, but it's not been so kind of highlighted until you have that core wound activation through a connection. And people get very confused at this point because they're like, well, it has to be my twin flame because it fits all the symptoms. I get the twin flame signs, the syncs, I feel this person's emotions, X, Y, Z. I can tell you, I've had more than one connection. I've had that with every one of them. So with every connection I've had on the twin flame journey, really super strong connection. I've felt their emotions, I've known their thoughts, they've progressed as I've grown. I've had guidance, I've had signs, I've had syncs, I've had things show up. Like, it's not just been that, oh, that, you know, that those things weren't present. They were. As soon as I had my core wound activated, I was on this journey. And you can't even really truly recognise who your twin flame is until you've healed your core wound, because till then you're literally being pulled. It's like that pulling your sacral chakra is because your core wound's been activated and it needs to be placated. So you're desperately trying to get that, and it will be pulled to people that have very similar core wounds, and your twin flame will have the exact same. So you will feel, the level you will feel like a twin flame connection until you kind of heal that and you come into your heart. And that's when, you know, there can only be that person you feel purely unconditionally in your heart. But, you know, a lot of people kind of think maybe they're there, but there's that pull. Whilst you have that pull, you're still basically trying to, your core wound is still active when you have a pull in the kind of navel, sacral, chest area. So you will, you know, dependent on your path, you will not be sure. Like I said, everyone's path is unique. Some people will have the same connection. They will go through all the core wound connection with them, and then they will go on to have a very heart-centered relationship with them as well, and that will be their twin. And for some people, they will do all their core wound activation stuff with other connections, and then when they get into their heart center, the twin flame will just show up very suddenly. So it's not, you know, like everybody hasn't even started their journey if they don't know, if they haven't met their twin flame, because like I said, some people go through a long process with theirs, and some people will do it with other connections, and then they'll kind of meet their twin flame when they're basically ready or close to being ready. And that's where your own unique journey is going to be different. So try to have some kind of flexibility and openness as much as you can. But yeah, we just attract what we are. So once we have truly collapsed our own duality and we have inner union, then it can't really help but show up, because what is within is without. So when we're not having that, we're just simply seeing our duality playing out in front of us, and where we're trying to control things, and where we're trying to control ourselves and control other people. So really, when you're having that pulling and you're having that really strong connection to somebody, it is literally looking at where you're trying to control. This is why surrender works so well. But I just wanted to explain that, and I don't know if it's any clearer than my last video, but there's so much confusion and there's so much kind of weird hate and judgment about this thing, and people that only have one connection and people that have multiple, and that sort of a lot of judgment on both sides of the person. And I used to do it a bit myself as well, because I'd had a multiple journey. I then used to, you know, think that people really needed to kind of be more open, because until you come to your heart center and you're still being pulled, you can't really know. But then that's their journey, and I learned that I had to let go of that, and they might actually be fully right, because that might be their journey, that they go through the whole thing with one person. Just because mine didn't work out like that and other people's I know didn't work out like that, it doesn't mean theirs won't. So it's kind of about letting go from all aspects. You don't know what someone else's journey is, but you have to trust that they're all heading in the right direction. And if you know, it's okay to give guidance, but you can't really tell somebody they're wrong or they're doing it wrong, because they're not doing it wrong. They're doing it in the way they've chosen to do it for their ultimate evolution and growth. But I did really want to put this video out because there's so much confusion around this, and everyone's path is so unique. And I feel like the reason that I've had the path I've had as well is so that I can go deeper into those dynamics, because I've had such a confusing path with mine, where I've clarity on that has been literally my final lesson. Whereas with a lot of people, that isn't their final lesson. But I think it's heavily linked into my own personal core wound as well. I've been able to listen to my own intuition. So yeah, I don't know how to explain it any better right now. If I do, I'll come back and do another video on it. But there's just so much confusion out there with why have I had more than one and what was that, and you know, it felt so much like a twin flame, and how do I know? And the thing is, you just have to keep moving forwards, because you can't go backwards, you can only go forwards. And if you're connected to somebody, that's all that matters. If you have that really strong connection, they're showing you something about yourself, and if you heal it, I guarantee they will drift away, and you know, the next one will come in that's closer on your journey, or you will get closer to them. You can't go wrong, and it's not, you can't just cut somebody off that you have a really strong connection to in case, because you know, it's not that it's wrong, it's still the right thing to do, is to work through that journey and look at it and use that connection to know more about your connection to yourself, because they're all showing you your connection to yourself. If you'd collapse your duality and you were in a union, it'd have no choice but to show up in your outer experience. So, but it's this pulling stuff, because I know a lot of people don't really understand it. And it's something that I've spent years and years and years like asking guidance on and trying to work out. And I'm always an analyzer, so I've been analysing things and asking people questions and trying to get to both sides and ask them stuff. And I really have come to the conclusion of it being inner, your inner core wounding needing to be placated, and it's literally like it's pulling you to people because it's desperately trying to be placated. And once you've healed that, it will no longer exist anymore, and you will come from a very heart-based place, and that's when you're getting close to your union, and you will know who your twin flame is. But before then, you might know or you might not, so don't stress too much if you've got it wrong, or you know, you feel like you thought somebody was and now you're not sure. Like, don't stress about that stuff, because you're still on the journey. It doesn't mean that you have to go back and do the whole blooming thing again. Like, you're moving through the journey, you're just having a slightly different experience to some people, that's all. And I just wanted to put that video out there, so I hope everyone's okay, and speak to you soon.